Hello Universe, Chapter 11 Beware the Color Red. Guinea pigs don't have normal sleeping schedules. Virgil learned this from the internet. They were small and weak, easy for other animals to snatch up and eat, so they had to be prepared at all times. That didn't leave much time for restful sleep. Instead, guinea pigs like Gulliver slept in fits and starts, in 15-minute intervals. Virgil could never really tell when Gulliver was sleeping, since his eyes were always open, and he spent a lot of time hiding in his plastic tree hut. That's not to say Gulliver was quiet. Even though he still held on to his instinctual ways, he was comfortable enough that he ventured around the cage and made quite a bit of noise. He liked to rattle his water bottle, for one thing. That's what woke Virgil up at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning. Rattle, 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 rattle. "Oh, Gulliver," Virgil mumbled. He threw the blankets over his head, but it was no use. He was awake for good. Maybe it was for the best. Now he could enjoy breakfast, get Gulliver packed, and have plenty of time to find the 5 stones. He wondered for about the zillionth time what Kaori planned to do with them. Maybe she'd use them to pelt him in the head so he could stop doing things like hiding behind freezer doors at the Super Saver. He got up, stretched, and opened his bedroom door. He listened. All was quiet. Good. He walked on the balls of his feet down the hall, careful not to make any noise so he wouldn't wake anyone up, for his sake, not theirs. His parents and brothers were a lot to take at any time of the day, but especially in the morning. The whole house was quiet. It was marvelous. Virgil was so overjoyed at the stillness of his usually bustling house that he didn't even glance at the kitchen table as he opened the refrigerator. He was too busy relishing in the discovery that he could hear his thoughts. No one talking loud or laughing louder, no one calling him Turtle. He reached for the milk. The morning was off to a glorious start. He'd sit quietly and have his cinnamon toast crunch and consider the day ahead. He'd think about finding 5 stones, each of a different size, in the woods near Kaori's house. He wasn't supposed to go exploring in the woods, but he knew that that was the best place to find good stones. Sure, he could have stolen some out of the garden in the back, but for some reason that didn't feel right, like it didn't count. He wasn't sure Kaori would approve of garden stones. "You're using too much milk." Virgil jumped. A splash of milk missed his cereal and landed with a splat on the counter. It was Lola, reading a magazine at the kitchen table. "You scared me," said Virgil. "You should always survey a room when you enter it," Lola replied. "Take a good look around. Never be caught off guard." "I was busy thinking." Virgil wiped up the spill, returned the milk to the fridge, and carried his bowl to the table. Lola was right. He'd used too much milk. The bowl was filled to the brim. Lola put down her magazine and narrowed her eyes. "You've been doing a lot of thinking lately. What's going on in that brain of yours? And don't tell me more green bean stories." Virgil paused. He wouldn't tell her about Valencia. He wasn't ready. This was one thing he didn't want her advice on. But it certainly wouldn't hurt to get her thoughts on a few other things. Virgil took a heaping bite of cereal and said, "Do you believe in fate?" Lola sat back. "Oh, yes," she said. "Certainly I do." "So you believe things happen for a reason?" "Yes, Zeus, don't talk with your mouth full. And yes, I do. I think good things happen for a reason, and bad things too." Virgil swallowed. "Why do you always bring up the bad things?" "If you didn't have bad things, you wouldn't have good things. They would all just be things. Did you ever think about that?" "No." Virgil looked at his cereal. "I guess not." "I believe in signs too, Virgilio." She raised her eyebrow like she was harboring a deep secret. "What kind of signs?" Lola leaned forward. "Last night, I had a dream about a boy named Amado. He was walking through a meadow when he saw a bright red tree. He was so mesmerized by this tree that he decided to walk to it, even though everyone told him not to. 'No, no,' they said, 'don't go, Amado. The tree is bad, very bad.' But Amado, he didn't listen. He had never seen a tree like it. On he went." She pressed her fingertip to the tabletop, as if Amado was standing right there. "There he goes, ignoring everybody. You know what happened?" Virgil lifted a spoonful of milk to his lips and slurped. "The tree ate him?" Exactly. She leaned back in her chair again. So you know what the sign is, Virgilio? Don't walk up to trees when people say not to? No. Beware the color red. Beware the color red just for today. She pointed to Virgil. That's my advice to you today. You remember, Virgilio, yes? Yes, Lola, said Virgil before scooping another spoonful. I'll remember.